Hello and welcome to an RHC Gaming video. Today, me, HelpGladys50, is going to be bringing a tutorial. This tutorial is going to explain coordinate selectors and radius minimum. There's also a bonus of the mode selector. So let's get started. I'm going to be showing you how to make a adventure mode box where if you stand inside of it, you're put in adventure mode, and if you go out of it, you're put in survival. And I'm also going to be showing you how to make a block where if you stand on it, you teleport, or you can change it to have whatever you want happen. So, the first thing I'm going to be showing you is the adventure mode part. You can see if I go in survival inside of this box, I won't be able to break blocks, and if I go out of it, I will. The reason is because I'm put in adventure mode. But if I go way far away and put myself in adventure mode, I won't be put in survival until I get close to this. The reason is because if you were to be put in survival all the way over here, then this survival mode box would be interfering with any other adventure mode boxes you made, if that makes any sense. Now, time to explain how to do it. This first command is the adventure mode command. It puts anyone who meets these requirements in adventure mode. The requirements are at A, which means all players, so you have to be a player, and then you have to have Y coordinate 4. What it means by Y coordinate 4 is any radius that you put will have the Y coordinate of its point be 4. And the other two coordinates are going to just be whatever whatever the command block has. Now, you can also use this with X coordinates and Z coordinates if you ever need to. So, for example, you could have these command blocks to the side instead of below it. But I prefer below because Y coordinate is the easiest to tell. Now, the next thing is radius equals 3. That just means anywhere inside of this box. If you don't know how radiuses work, you should look at our last two videos. Those will explain radiuses pretty well. Now, M equal S. This is like a bonus thing you'll be learning. It's the mode selector. And A equals adventure, C equals creative, and S equals survival. What that means is M equals S means you have to be mode equals survival, or in survival mode. So, and the reason why you have to be in survival mode in here and not in adventure mode or creative mode is one, because if you're coming over here to edit command blocks and you get put in adventure mode, that's going to be a big problem. And two, it will spam your chat really badly if you do so. Now, the next part, the survival mode. This one has a similar beginning. It puts you in a mode, but this time the mode is survival if you meet the requirements. It still has at A as one of the requirements, meaning you have to be a player because it's all players. But there's also another Y equals 4 and radius minimum. So the Y equals 4 will just put it back at the same block as the point of the radius minimum. But the radius minimum 3 is the same length or same radius as radius 3, which means it covers this entire box. Now, the reason why we have that is because radius minimum is the opposite of radius. If you're in this box, you won't be affected by the command. Instead of, if you're not in this box, then you will, if that makes sense. Well, it is if you're not in this box. Sorry, my grammar is messing up. Anyway, the next part is mode equals adventure. Now this time it's adventure mode instead of survival mode because we still don't want it to spam, and what's the point of putting you in survival mode if you're already in survival mode? The next and final part is radius equals 6. Now, what this does is it will cover this entire box, including the blue part, and it will not cover this part, which is the yellow part, because of the radius minimum. Hopefully this makes sense to you. If it doesn't, I sort of recommend watching some of our other videos to get more of a grasp on it. Now, you can do a lot of creative things with this. And one important thing to note is you can expand the adventure mode box length and the survival mode box length just by changing the radiuses of them. Now, one important thing also to remember is that the radius minimum of the survival mode command block has to be the same as the radius of the adventure mode command block, or otherwise you might get some spam and annoyed players. Now, for the next part. This part is the block where if you stand on it, you're teleported to this block. Now, let me explain this command first. First of all, teleport everyone who meets the requirements to 13.425. 13.425 is the top of this yellow block. Now, the requirements. Requirement 1 is at A, which means you have to be a player. If you don't want this, you can change it to at E or any other thing. So, like, at E would be all entities, or you have to be an entity, which is every entity, which is the only thing that can be teleported. And then radius 0.75. The easiest way to explain this is imagine the beacon, but without the glass around it. That's the size of radius 0.75. If you don't understand this, just think of it as slightly smaller than a block. Now, finally, y equal 4. We've already talked about this. That means that it shares the z-coordinate and x-coordinate of the command block, but the y-coordinate is changed to 4. Hopefully you understand this. If you don't, you can ask me in the comments, and goodbye.